Virginia. It's Between Two Twigs with your host, Susan Jennings-Lance.
Well, hello there. This is Dr. Susan Jennings-Lance, and we're here today on our low-budget version of Between Two Ferns. We call it Between Two Twigs. I am here today, and we are going to do Between Two Ferns, except we will not be vulgar, and we will not insult each other. But I'm here today. I'm so excited with one of my favorite colleagues, Professor Frank DeGeorge. And Professor Frank DeGeorge is awesome, and he's fun, and I wish I could go take a class with him. And so everybody say hello to Professor DeGeorge.
Hey, Susan, good to be here.
Yes, good to have you. We'll start out, I could tell everybody about your history, but I think it's more interesting to hear your history from you, because you were kind of a big shot before you came to WVU. You're still a big shot.
I'm still a big shot.
You're still a big shot.
No, I'm
but you were
not.
a big shot in the financial world of Morgantown. Tell us about your big shotedness and how it is you ended up coming to WVU.
Well, I started off as an accountant, actually, with one of the Big Four accounting firms.
Can you tell us what a Big Four accounting firm is?
Big Four accounting firm today is PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, KPMG, and Deloitte & Touche. I was part of Touche Ross, which again, it was a big eight at the time, but now
what
it's Deloitte.
What happened to the other four?
They merged together. Okay. One of them actually dropped out completely.
Arthur Anderson. Yeah.
But
there's a whole
they
movie
merged.
About that.
And so I started off in public accounting, and one of my clients was Mylan Laboratories, they were headquartered at the time here in Morgantown, and they were by far my favorite client. And I ended up having the opportunity to come to Morgantown and work for Mylan as their chief principal accounting officer, and did that for about 13 years. I always wanted to retire when I was 55 years old. I didn't make it. I retired when I was 40. I call it
not bad work if you can get it.
I call it being semi-retired because it sounds much better than being semi-unemployed. So anyway, I was semi-retired.
The chief financial officer for Mylan.
I was the chief accounting officer.
Excuse me, chief accounting.
Chief accounting officer. But I ended up doing a lot of the functions of the chief financial officer as well.
Were you in the C-suite?
In the C-suite? I was in the C-suite, yes.
Like you hung out with the big guys?
I hung out with the big guys.
You went to the Christmas party?
I did.
The quarter meetings? You were there?
I did.
Quarter parties?
We invited a lot of people to our quarter parties and the Christmas parties. But
I've been to the Christmas party.
Yes, I had a very good experience, tremendous experience working with Mylan. Was in a little over my head, but we did what we had to do, and we got the job done, and it got done pretty well.
Isn't that all of adulthood? Being in over your head, but getting the job done
anyway?
Getting
the job done.
Yeah, that's my whole life.
So I retired way too early, and then I got a call from the dean's office one time at B&E one day.
Were you out playing golf?
I was out playing golf with all the other retired guys and beating them pretty badly because I was 40 years old and they were 70. And that got old after a while. But I was asked if I ever thought of teaching, and I actually had years previously thought about teaching. So I told them I don't have my PhD, I'm not Dr. DeGeorge, I'm just Professor DeGeorge. And they said that won't hurt you in what we're looking for you to do. So I started teaching at WVU, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
Well, and I want to interrupt you. They wanted you because you had practical experience, though.
Yes, they wanted me to bring that practical experience to the classroom, and
you'd walk the walk.
My background too. I had gone to Robert Morris College and learned how to be an accountant at Robert Morris College, and then I went to Duquesne for my graduate work and learned the theory of how to be an accountant. And it was a good combination to have both the theory and the practical application. And by bringing in adjunct professors and professors who have had some work experience, I think it's a very good thing that we have at West Virginia University, that you get both the practical application and the theoretical within the same institution.
You know, that was part of the reason they hired me. I do have the doctorate, but they hired me before I finished it. because I had been in human resources for 8 years, and they wanted somebody who knew human resources and who knew employment law and who could really explain, the FLSA and that sort of thing. And I have always thought that was a good thing, because once you have lived the life, you can't go back. I mean,
Right.
I think that a lot of the students out there in B Corps 199 land who are watching this, I think some of our students have already been in the work world. And I think that what you're describing, this thing where you're in the work world and then you get the theory, kind of befits them well, because I think they're looking at it from the same perspective that you are,
Sure.
or you were. They are and you were. So you came over to the College of Business and Economics to teach finance. And so you're a finance professor, right?
Yeah, and I actually started off teaching accounting.
Oh, really?
I taught
And you
accounting for
migrated?
6 years, and then I went away and did some consulting for a couple more years, and then was invited to come back to develop a course for finance majors, accounting for finance majors. So I'm still, my heart is still accounting, but I deal a lot with finance majors now. I have all the finance majors that go through the program at my class.
You had one of my students in class, and he did so well. You cooked the best students in the class an Italian dinner.
The pasta dinner. I like to eat, and I like to cook, and I like good students. So yeah, I celebrate once a semester by having a dinner over at my house with my best students.
Awesome. That is so awesome. So
There's never any leftovers. Amazing how that is with college students.
I need to take your class and do very well, so I can have some of the pasta. So Frank DeGeorge here, Professor DeGeorge. First of all, what is finance? I mean, if our students, if they go out with friends tonight, or they run into grandma or something, and they say, well, what is finance exactly? How can they define it?
I think technically it's defined as the creation, management, maximization of wealth. It's dealing with wealth accumulation and wealth management. And the thing that I like about finance is that it's a very active field. It's not a passive field where you sit back after the fact and look at what happens, or you forecast what's going to happen in the future.
That's economics.
That would be economics and accounting.
Right.
Accounting, where you record the history, and economics, where you forecast the future. Finance is right in the middle there, where you take the accounting information and you take the forecast for the future and you make decisions today about what the company or your clients are going to do. And I like that very active part of the battle, rather than being a bystander, an eyewitness.
You're kind of in the pit. You're in the heat of the moment.
You're in the heat of the moment, and so
the heat of the moment. I'm going to repeat what you said to clarify that. The heat of the moment of accumulating wealth and managing it,
and making decisions. Making again, I think finance is really all about making financial decisions. Some people are very good at it. Some people aren't very good at it. And unfortunately, if you're going to go into the corporate world somewhere, you might start off as a marketing person, or you might start off as an HR person, or you might start off as an IT person. And the higher you climb up that ladder, because the objective of every business is to make money for the owners now and in the future, the higher you climb up that corporate ladder, the more your job is going to become financial in nature.
Well, the goal of every for-profit business is
every
to make
for-profit.
money for the owners. I want to back up and just say, because I'm clarifying a lot of things, that when we talk about standard business practices, these apply to nonprofit businesses as well. However, the goal of a nonprofit business is not to make money for the owner, right, or owners.
Because it's a nonprofit. At the same time, financial decisions are absolutely critical for nonprofits because they have limited resources.
Okay, so they still have to make a profit, right?
Well, they have to break even.
Right.
Okay, and it's not a bad thing to necessarily make a little bit of money and have a surplus at the end of the year. But the fact of the matter is you can't just continue to run deficits every year after year after year, because then your nonprofit is not going to be soluble. It's not going to be around anymore.
So your nonprofit, okay, actually, if it makes a profit, what do they do with that profit?
They hold it for next year, and then it'll get balanced out. Okay,
eventually it goes back into the organization.
Yeah, it stays in the organization.
So like WVU is a nonprofit organization. And if we end up having great people who are forecasting, and great people who are in the financial world, and we end up doing so well that we end up with extra money at the end of the year at WVU, we don't just all split up the money and go home and laugh maniacally.
No, we don't.
What do we do with that extra money?
What do we do? We would have an excess that we carry forward so that we can make sure that we pay salaries the next year and the year after that, even if the state
so you have a
reduces
rainy day
its
fund.
funding,
Yeah.
reduces its funding to the university, and that's happened pretty much every year for the past few years anyway.
And so you
it's
put it
probably
back
going to
into the
continue in
institution,
the
yeah.
future. Nonprofits such as WVU are going to have to be more profit oriented so that they can continue to function and provide the services for the people of the state of West Virginia.
Okay, so the money that you make goes back into the organization. And in the
Right.
case of WVU, we put the money aside, and we hope, that when there's a shortfall from somewhere else, we actually put the money back in. But we don't split up the money and go, ha-ha,
No.
we have extra money. But a for-profit organization kind of does that, right?
Well, a for-profit organization, if it has the financial wherewithal to continue in operation for the foreseeable future, and it has excess revenues, then yes, they would distribute that out to the owners in the form of a dividend or a distribution.
Okay, so that means that if I have, 50 shares of Krispy Kreme donut, okay, I have a friend who has one share. Do you know you can get one share of
You
Krispy Kreme?
can. It's not a very efficient thing to do,
No.
but
he
you
did
can.
it just because somebody gave it to him as a gag gift.
Okay.
And he said he actually went to the stockholders meeting and they gave out free donuts.
There you go.
Okay, but maybe that's not the reason to do these things. But I always thought that was
You
fun.
can get free donuts at any Krispy Kreme if you get it there at the right time.
Well,
but
that's true.
it's a whole other issue.
Yes, but this is what
Not that I know a lot about donuts or anything.
I like Krispy Kreme. Okay, so if I go out and I get 50 shares of Krispy Kreme donuts, and Krispy Kreme has a great year, and everybody is just going wild over Krispy Kreme donuts, and they make some money, and they make a lot of extra money, then and if I own 50 shares of the organization, okay, I own a percentage of the organization. Now, 50 shares for Krispy Kreme is a very, very small amount, but let's just pretend that I in a wild moment, went out and bought these shares. So at the end of the year, if they have extra money, they take the extra money and they divide it up and they give it to all of the shareholders like me. I'm going to get much less than somebody who owns a much more significant share, right?
You get the same amount per share.
Right.
So if you own 50 shares and they declare a 10-cent per share dividend, you're going to get 10 cents for every share that you have.
Okay. So
someone who owns more shares than you is going to end
I'll
up with
get
more money.
$5, and
Right.
the person who owns 500 shares is going to get $50, right?
Right.
So, but we all get our 10 cents per share, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, and I'm just breaking that down into something easy, because then
Right.
it becomes more complex, because you group various, like my retirement plan groups a whole bunch of different stocks together, and I'm never quite sure who I have at any given time. All right, so that's what we're talking about, and the difference between a for-profit organization and a nonprofit organization.
But again, let me get back to, we were talking about a marketing person, an HR person, no matter where you start in that organization, because fiscal responsibility is so important, whether it be in a for-profit or a nonprofit, that the higher up the ladder you go, the more your job starts to be centered around finance. Even more, for me, when I was in the accounting area, finance is related to accounting, but as I climbed the ladder in accounting, I ended up doing a lot more finance work than I did accounting work, okay, because the finance is the decision making. The manager, the director of the HR department makes a lot of fiscal decisions, financial decisions. It's not just who do we hire, who do we fire, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, they do less and less of that as you climb the ladder and you do more and more financial things. So, especially for students that are in this program, this specific program that we're talking about, this online business program, they're already working.
Many of them, not all of them, but many of our students
Many of them are working. They realize that they do want to climb that ladder,
right?
Okay, because you don't want to be in that entry-level position forever. And one of the keys to being able to climb up that ladder is to show an understanding of finance, an ability to make financial decisions, and having fiscal responsibility. So I think finance is a very important area, not necessarily for students to major in, but to gain that understanding, that basic understanding. We're not expecting you to speak the language fluently, but we're expecting you to speak the language. And if you can speak the language, then you can talk to the people in the finance area or the people in the accounting area with some level of intelligence rather than just being a bystander and listening to the conversation.
Okay.
So.
All right. So it's important for those reasons. So, like the students in this program are take the introductory finance classes.
Business finance.
Okay. Then what other types of finance are there? I mean, the students who actually major in finance who are on campus, they go into areas of emphasis, but just for the heck of it, I'm interested in what kind of areas of emphasis there are in finance.
In finance, there's several areas. There's the banking area, the corporate area, the investment banking area, which is a combination of the banking and the investment and the corporate area. There's the investment area. There's insurance. There's financial planning, which is a combination of investment and insurance. So there's specific areas, and then there's combination of areas.
Well,
I think there's about 6 different actual areas of emphasis within the finance major.
And like when you're talking about insurance, you're not talking about here's your policy through State Farm. I mean,
well, some of our people do that. Yes, they end up selling insurance. Being insurance advisors, risk management.
Okay, but it also includes risk management, is what I was getting at.
Sure. Risk management is more on the corporate side, okay, whereas insurance is more on the personal side.
Okay.
Okay, there is risk management to do on the personal side, but generally speaking, when we talk about risk management, we're talking about corporations, corporate insurance, as opposed to individual insurance.
Okay. All right. And so what kind of, all right, so one job is like when you think of people who are working with insurance, what are some of the other jobs that people who study finance go into? Again,
there's the banking area. You can go into corporate finance, which, it was the area that I was in at Milan. And there's financial analyst jobs within just about every corporation. Because it's a critical area. And
these are people who sit there and figure out where you're going to get the money, where you're going to put the money, what's happening with the money, and they're making the right now decisions.
They're people who specialize in financial analysis.
Okay.
Okay, and helping to provide the information that people need to make good business decisions. It's a matter of assessing risk, understanding your risk tolerance and how much risk we're taking on with a particular decision. When at the end of the day, that boils down to some very, very simple decisions. Would you rather make $10 or make $7?
Well, $10.
Okay, $10. It's that simple. Business is that simple, but getting it to that point can be rather complex because of all the moving parts. A good financial analyst and a good decision maker can sift through all those moving parts and come down to, okay, under this scenario I make $10, under this scenario we make $7. Maybe there's 6 zeros on the end of those, tacked onto the end of those. So we're talking about $10 million versus $7 million. The decision is still that simple. Okay, I'm going with the 10 because it's more than the 7. Or would I rather spend this or spend this? I'd rather spend less. because I then make more money for the owners, et cetera, or make more money for my nonprofit. It's just more efficient to do it that way. So that's what a financial analyst does in a nutshell. It's a very simplified, a 30,000-foot view of what a financial analyst does. But there are jobs in every corporation for financial analysts. And again, that would be more the corporate side of that. You don't necessarily have to be certified. There are certifications for, just like any other profession, there are certifications that identify that you've completed enough education in a particular area to have a special knowledge. That special knowledge usually comes along with higher compensation, at least
show me the money.
To some level, okay, which is a good thing for you, because while the corporation's objective is to make more money for the owners, your objective is to make more money for you and your family. And so if you can do that through a certification, that's fantastic. And that's what the corporations are. They're to identify that you have expertise in a particular area, and that expertise usually carries with it more reward. So, okay. But now, you don't need those certifications. You can, if you're very good at what you do, and I have found this in all of the corporate world, if you're good at what you do, that certification means something at this level, but your ability to do things and to function and to get along well with others is what progresses you to the higher level. Mm-hmm. So the certification is helpful to get your foot in the door, to get yourself started in a particular area, but at the end of the day, good work still pays off.
But so it sounds to me like you're also describing what some people might refer to as emotional intelligence or soft skills. Those skills enable you to get along with people, to get your work done at the end of the day, to persevere. Those aren't things that necessarily a certification can show.
No. And those are things that you need wherever you go in business.
Okay.
Whether it's business or whether it's a nonprofit, you need to be able to work with others. You need to be able to work in a team.
Control your emotions.
Control your emotions to some degree.
When somebody's a rat jerk, you don't call them that to their face. You wait till you get home.
Unless you're really, really good at what you do. but even then, you're playing with fire there.
Yeah.
So.
Your ability to pursue whatever it is you're working on, to finish and accomplish tasks.
To finish jobs, yeah. Again, that's not unique to finance. That's the workforce.
Okay. No, it's good to know, because my husband and I always say that we've gotten as far as we have on being nice to people and smiling a lot. So.
And hard work, probably.
Yeah, a lot of hard work.
I'm guessing you did some hard work too.
A little bit of hard work. But no, seriously, I mean, I've also seen very hard workers who are very intelligent fall by the wayside because they couldn't get along with people, or because they're grouchy in the morning, or because they would have a meltdown every once in a while and it would scare everyone. So
every organization is a team, and a team needs team players.
Right. If the students in our online B Core 199 class can take 3 upper division classes in a certain area, which finance classes or which things do you think it would be good for students to pursue?
Well, one would be the B Core 340, just to make sure that you have the basics in finance. And then the next 5 classes they're all required for the major, but
I'm not sure that all of them are online, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
So that may limit things a little bit.
Okay, but there are 5 courses that are required for all majors, and that would be the corporate finance class. Now, that's the next level up.
Yeah, these are for the majors, not necessarily for people in B Core 199.
That would be Fin 305. Fin 310 is the investment class. Fin 320 is my financial statement analysis class. Fin 330 is the financial institution class. And Fin 350 is a general insurance class.
Okay.
So those would be the 5 courses that are required for all finance majors in addition to B Core 340. And I would probably start with those in the area of your interest. If you're interested in corporate finance because you're working in a corporation already and you want to learn more to climb that ladder faster, then take the corporate finance course. If you want to learn more about financial statement analysis, then you would take my course. I'm not sure why you would want to do that unless you were a finance major, but or an accounting major. But it's an interesting course. It's a good course to have. And then again, general insurance is an excellent course to take just to understand the insurance, because whether you're dealing with it on a corporate level or a personal level, you need to understand insurance. So I think insurance would be a great course to take. And the investment course might be a great course to take simply because, again, everybody has a 401k plan now. And you should understand, rather than just asking the person at the water cooler, hey, Susan, what should I invest in? Okay, make your own intelligent decision.
When I started out.
That's what most people do.
I was like, I don't know.
You have to make that decision on the first day that you come to work, and the HR person says, here's what I do. And we generally have a lot of people who just did what the HR person did on the first day that they started working. They never change it.
So all HR people should have a lot of finance
background. They should if they're going to make those recommendations.
Yeah. What are some of the other things that people might do who are interested in finance outside of the classroom to really learn more about it?
Well, I think financial literacy is something very important for everyone, because people do make financial decisions, and people make financial decisions early in their life that will affect the rest of their lives. So anything that you can read up on personal finance, and the B Corp 340 is not a personal finance course. It's a business finance course.
Well, specifically, where would you go to find things about personal finance?
You can find books on personal finance. You can find YouTubes. You can. We do things in the department to encourage financial literacy within the state of West Virginia. It's a very important topic, and it's something that really could have a lasting impact on the state of West Virginia. Is just educating the population about financial management, personal financial management.
Is there any book that you think is really good, really accessible?
I know that Bob Reynolds just wrote. Bob Reynolds, a good friend of the college, has written a book about the retirement crisis that we're facing, and about financial literacy. I think it's an excellent book. There are books out there on personal finance, and there's a slew of them that
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and things like that.
Yeah, but there's a slew of them. Textbooks on personal finance pretty much cover the same. They all have like 16 chapters in them, and they cover the same topics.
So basically, what you're saying is, and this is true, you can go online and put textbook on personal finance and get something that's 3 editions old, and a PDF will pop up, and you could read that on your phone.
Yeah, you could probably read that on your phone.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's not a matter of making a big investment in it. The biggest investment is taking the time to do it, and that is
the investment of time as opposed to money.
The investment of time.
It's not a closely guarded secret.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Not at all. And yet, at the same time, it's a secret. It's something we don't talk about. And we really should talk more about it.
What would your advice be to students who are in B Corp 199 online? I mean, if you yourself were in B Corp 199 at some point in your life online, what advice would you go back and give yourself?
Well, my advice to any student is there's no substitute for hard work. And knowledge. You have to always be searching and trying to learn more, because there's no substitute for that. On the B Corp 199, the online specifically, I've taught online courses, I've taken online courses, and I know that sometimes it's easy to do as little as you can do to get by.
Not in my course.
Well, in every course that I've ever taught or taken, I have seen myself fall into that trap that, okay, what do I need to do for Saturday? Here's the assignment. Okay, let me get that assignment done, get it out of the way and move on, check the box and move on. My advice to you is learn as much as you can. You will be able to check those boxes. You will be able to complete the courses, and that's good. But at the end of the day, you're doing this so that you can learn more skills and learn more knowledge that you can utilize, in particular for the people who are working right now. And that, unfortunately, they're the most challenged group because they're working all day long. And this is coming from someone who finished my undergrad and my graduate degree, my entire graduate degree at night, working full-time during the day. So I know how hard that is. We didn't have online back when I was finishing mine, but they were face-to-face classes, but they were from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
And you were exhausted.
And I was exhausted. So were most of the other people in my class. So I know how easy it is to fall into the trap of doing the minimum, doing the least that you can do. And my advice to you is try to fight that off and get the most out of your classes, however you do that. Whether it means reading the entire textbook and watching the extra videos and the extra things that are in there that you don't necessarily get a grade for, okay, but they're just good things to do to learn more. Watching that extra YouTube video or whatever it is, go that extra mile. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it in the end.
Well, that's wonderful advice, and as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you,
It's
Professor
good to be
DeGeorge.
here. It's good to see you.
So
Susan.
glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you on Between Two Twigs, the low-budget version of Between Two Ferns. Thank you very much.